Hey friends, welcome to this new video dedicated to Garten of Banban 8. Today we have some very fresh news because just a few hours ago FARIS, one of the game's developers, released a series of new official messages on Discord that are already making the whole community talk. But the most interesting part is that among these messages, there is also a new official image coming directly from the gameplay of Chapter 8. And we are not talking about just any image. This one seems to reveal very important details about the story, the setting, and maybe even about some new creature we will encounter. In this video we will analyze this new image together pixel by pixel. We will try to understand all the hidden details and we will make some theories about what it could mean for Chapter 8, and of course we will not stop there. We will also look at FARIS' messages to understand the context and what the developers want to communicate to us in this moment of waiting before the official release. Before we start, if you also want to stay updated on all the latest news about Garten of Banban 8, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video. This way you won't miss any theory, any analysis, and any new information that will arrive in the next few days. Alright, I'd say we can start right away with the analysis of the new image. And now, let's get straight into it, because what I'm about to show you is the first message from FARIS that includes the brand new official image from Chapter 8. In his message, FARIS clearly stated that this image comes directly from the gameplay of Chapter 8. It's not a concept art, it's not a promotional image that's been edited, it's an actual real fragment of what we'll see once we get our hands on the game. However, there's an important detail here. This is actually a zoomed in portion of a gameplay screenshot. This means that the image, as it is, doesn't show us the full scene, but just a small cropped section. And because of that, the amount of information we can extract is really limited. But as often happens in Chapter 8, sometimes it's the smallest details that reveal the biggest secrets. In fact, even though the image is quite limited, it's enough to give us another official confirmation about something we've been suspecting for a while now. What we'll see in Chapter 8 will have a direct connection to certain environments we've already seen in previous chapters. And that, my friends, is a very important clue because it might mean the developers are planning to tie up certain narrative threads that were left unresolved. To make this clearer, I'm now going to show you a piece of gameplay from Chapter 7. Watch it carefully because there are similarities here that cannot be a coincidence. You'll be able to compare the visual details yourself and see how this new image from Chapter 8 connects directly to things we've already seen. So, keep your eyes wide open because from this point on, we're moving into the deep analysis phase. And I can assure you that some very interesting connections are about to emerge. Perfect, we have just watched the gameplay clip from Chapter 7 and now it is time to begin with our detailed observations. In the scene I showed you a moment ago, one element immediately catches the eye. Something that may seem trivial to many but is actually a key clue. The fence. If you take a closer look, that fence is identical to the one we can see in the new official image published by FARIS just a few hours ago. This is not a random similarity, but a visual element intentionally brought back by the developers. For us, this means one very clear thing. Chapter 8 will be set, at least in part, in the same city we visited in Chapter 7. And this is already an important confirmation, because until now we did not know for sure whether the new setting would be completely new or if we would revisit familiar places. Now we have proof that not only will we return to the city, but we will probably explore new areas that were previously inaccessible. However, by looking carefully, we can also notice a substantial difference. The asphalt. In Chapter 7, the streets of the city had a red asphalt, a very distinctive detail that gave the environment an almost surreal atmosphere. In the new image, however, the asphalt is grey. This detail may seem secondary, but it clearly tells us that even though we are in the same city, we will find ourselves in completely new streets compared to those already seen. Perhaps this is a different district or maybe a more peripheral part of the city where the aesthetics change and the narrative will lead us to discover other locations with new threats. And as we know, every visual change in this series is almost always tied to a new event in the story, and that is not all. In the next part, I will show you more official messages from FARIS that not only confirm we will return to the city, but also give us some extra clues about what we can expect from these new urban areas in Chapter 8. And believe me, there is a lot to talk about. And now, it's time to take a look at some official messages from FARIS that, believe me, are essential to better understand the situation. You'll see them appear right here on screen so you can read them with your own eyes and verify every word. These messages are extremely important because they give us an official and direct confirmation from the developers themselves. The screenshot we saw earlier really does come straight from the gameplay of Chapter 8. We're not talking about a personal interpretation or a theory based on suspicious details. This is a clear and unmistakable statement. This confirmation is crucial, especially because, as we saw, the image showed the same fence that was also present in Chapter 7, and this could have easily led many to think that it was simply an old scene taken from that chapter. The similarity was so obvious that the doubt was more than legitimate. But now, thanks to FARIS's words, there's no more room for confusion. That fence may indeed be the same model we've already seen, but the scenario is new and is fully part of Chapter 8. This means we will return to familiar places, but in different contexts and probably with brand new events that will significantly expand the story. And let's remember a very important detail. Chapter 8 is not far away. In fact, its release is now just around the corner. The date circled on the calendar is August 21st, and every new piece of information we get in these weeks only increases the anticipation and hype for this new chapter. The closer we get to that date, the more details start to arrive, and when put together, they're already forming a clearer picture of what awaits us. So now that we have direct confirmation, we can start analyzing Chapter 8 with even more confidence, and in the next part, we'll see how these new elements could connect to other clues that have surfaced in the past few days. Alright, now that we have gathered all this official information, it's time to dive into the most interesting part, making some theories about what awaits us in Chapter 8. As we have understood, Chapter 8 will be set, at least in part, in the same city we already visited in Chapter 7. But beware, this is not just a simple return to the familiar environments, because we will see new areas, new districts and new buildings that we have never explored before. The developers are expanding the city, making it more alive and complex, almost like a real world to discover. One thing that has emerged from some messages and clues is that Chapter 8 will also be set in two very particular and important locations, the prison and Syringan's clinic. These two places already have a strong significance in the story and will undoubtedly be an integral part of the new adventure. Now, if we think about how the game might be structured, it's easy to imagine that to move between the prison, the clinic and other points of interest, we will necessarily have to cross the city itself. And this city, from what we can speculate, will not be a safe or peaceful place at all. In fact, the city could be full of dangers and dangerous enemies ready to block our way at any moment. Among these, according to some very plausible theories, there could also be the citizens sent directly by Syringan to look for us and stop us. These enemies, perhaps harmless at first glance, could turn out to be very sneaky and insidious obstacles, forcing us to move with extreme caution. In short, Chapter 8 looks like it will promise a much wider and more complex experience than previous chapters. Thank you so much for watching the video until the end. You are amazing. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.